Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Please don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blow the Whistle Sports. I'm your host, Wayne Holloway, and thank you once again for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. And like always, if you want to see something in the show or you have a bright idea that you want to see us implement on the show, drop them in those comments below or hit us on any one of our social media outlets. Holler at us, we holler back. We got a full show for you tonight, but I don't want to hold things up. I want to first introduce you to my co-host, and he goes by the name of Mr. Patrick Nagel. How you doing, sir?
I am fantastic, Wayne. How are you?
Oh man, I'm great. Long weekend, but it's moving along. We're getting closer to the sport that I want to say that I love the most. I don't how you feel about it. What's the sport you love the most?
It's football. I mean, without a doubt. And just to let you know that this was the last weekend that there will be no football until February. So we're back, baby. We're back.
Go.
So we're here. It's happening. We first game is Thursday night. Just a couple days away. Our beloved Carolina Panthers will take on the Arizona Cardinals in the Hall of Fame game. So that's exciting. We're going to get back on the field. Which really means, it's preseason, which those games are sometimes hard to watch, but it's a little bit of football. And most importantly, that just means we're getting closer and closer to real season kicking off. So really excited about that. And if you're a fantasy football,
check out new personnel that we haven't seen before.
But if you're a fantasy football player and you play in a dynasty league, this is a great opportunity to take a look at some rookies a little further down the depth chart, right? That you don't, maybe know. That aren't the top liner guys that maybe just maybe but they're this is the opportunity to find your sleepers, right?
Exactly.
A couple wide receivers that you're not really thinking about, like, who the heck is that guy, flashing, and also maybe a running back deep down in the draft, so this is an exciting time if you're a football fan, and I'm excited. I'm telling you, I can't be any more excited than I am right now.
I don't know. It's just something about football games that make you hold on to every minute, that make you appreciate every game. It's
true. And also, let's not forget, I mean, we're talking about NFL, but regular season college games start here in a couple of weeks. So we are on the precipice of the greatest time of the year, which is football season.
Yes, it's just like Christmas.
Yes, all the wives all over the world, I'm sure, our hearts are breaking today, knowing that football season is about to begin.
They get to go shopping, so there it is.
There's that. And also, guys, I'm going to warn you now. I'm going to warn you all year long. But remember, Super Bowl Sunday and Valentine's Day is the same in 2027. So you better take care of your ladies early. And don't procrastinate like you normally do, and try to get stuff done on Super Bowl Sunday. So this is your warning all the way in August that
That's
you
not going to work out.
That you better take care of your lady. I'm curious. What we need to do is, like, we need to clip this, find the divorce rate in 2026, and then find the divorce rate in 2027, and see if there's an uptick in divorce rate.
Well, if they're smart, all you got to do is go on a Super Bowl cruise, so it appeases both people.
You could do that, or you could do what I said, and that's buy her early. Don't wait until Valentine's Day to take care of her. But no, I'm excited. Today was a crazy day in sports. If you're a baseball fan, we'll get into it here soon, but it's trade deadline day. Lots of moves made in Major League Baseball, kind of shaking up the pretenders and the contenders, and some teams, like my team, conducted a little bit of a fire sale. Other teams
everything must go.
Pretty much. It's big summer blowout. It was definitely a rough day to be a Giants fan, but hopeful for the future. But no, it is a big day in baseball if you're a baseball fan. Trade deadline day is always a big deal. But it's we're getting down to 50 games left in the baseball season, which means we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and we should start to see some good games and follow the races. which gives us more exciting stuff to talk about, right? The day-to-day in baseball sometimes is tough to talk about, but once the pennant race starts heating up, now it's going to start heating up, and then football season and hockey season shortly thereafter.
Baseball has always been weird with, like you said, the fire sale happening during the season. It's always been weird. Like, games are actually going on for this to be happening right now.
Well, just to talk about my Giants. So my Giants traded 6 players today and are playing a game right now. And they didn't get enough players from AAA into Texas to play tonight, so they're playing shorthanded. But and of course, like clockwork, you trade away 6 players off your team and you're winning 3-0 against a contender in the Rangers. So, but they'll find a way to blow it. That's what they do.
We want to thank you for reminding us about that 7 canvases. We knew this already. But thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't know who that is, but they've made my list of people I'm not going to give a Christmas card to. I don't know. I don't really need to know that my team lost. My team has lost a lot. In fact, 67 times so far this year, if you're counting. So I'm well aware that they're not playing that great. Oh, we got a broken heart emoji too. That's horrible. I don't really know, but but oh wow. Listen, I rep my team every day. 7 canvases. I will wear a Giants hat till the day I die, win, lose, or draw. I'll wear my Panther hat, win, lose, or draw. I'm a loyal fan. I'm not a fair weather fan. I will support my team no matter what. So
always
you can expect me to wear Giants gear, Panther gear, Sharks gear, or anything else because I believe in repping my team no matter what.
And me, we lost, but we still the champs until we're dethroned.
Listen,
back to back so far. Hey,
listen,
we're gonna keep this going.
Let's keep it going. Let's talk about trades since you brought up your stupid team. I mean, your team. Your team arguably made the biggest trade of the trade day moves, acquiring the 2-time reigning and defending Cy Young American League winner and Tariq Skubal.
Would you look at that?
He comes to the Dodgers.
Would you look at that?
I could have done without that. He came to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers gave up a couple prospects, arguably a big trade really solidifies the Dodger rotation. I mean, looking at Ohtani, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Skubal, and I can't remember the Japanese Yamamoto, I believe is his name, but in that 5th spot. But really, really solid. I mean, probably one of the best rotations in baseball history, honestly. Although a little left-handed heavy though. But if they were to match up with the Phillies, where they have a lot of left-handed bats, I don't know that the Phillies would have much to offer against that. So a great trade for them. Disappointing for me as a baseball fan because it's something. Take away the Dodger piece. I'm a known Dodger hater, so my 2 favorite teams are the Giants and anyone playing Dodgers.
We have plenty of them. Let's go ahead.
Listen. All I know is that it's just another example of in baseball where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The Tigers trade away their top 2 pitchers for prospects, so now their best players are gone. And the Dodgers, who already had a team full of all-stars, now have just one more all-star to add to the mix. However, if you have the assets, and they do, which means the Dodgers do a great job of scouting and a great job of drafting. If you have the assets to trade for an all-star player, I mean, you can't blame the other teams. It's just disappointing, though. I mean, because we've talked about it before. The parity in baseball seems a little off. The Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong because they're playing by the rules. I think the rules need to be changed because I think it's not appropriate to, defer that much of a contract 30 years down the road or for retirement. I think there needs to be a cap on that. I don't think you just can defer infinite money, but that's the way the CBA reads, and they're able to do it, and players are willing to sign those contracts. So again, the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. It just, for me, it makes baseball less exciting, because what that really means is there's only a handful of teams that really have a chance to compete,
And
and
so that's my
everybody
thing
else.
right there. We have to speak on that, and I'm glad. I would love for you to speak your mind on it, to say how you really feel, because this, when it goes from sport to sport, there's always that BS disparity that we need to get rid of, and it needs to be looked at, because it's
Well,
it's a little flaky.
here's my opinion, straight up. I mean, take the Dodgers out of it again. I don't want to make this about the Dodgers. I think it's absolute crap that you have teams, big market teams, LA, New York, Boston, that can invest unlimited resources into their team and snatch up every free agent, and every small market team, those teams that build up players. I'll use the A's as an example of that. Like, the A's for the last 20 years have been basically a 4A team in the major leagues. Anytime a player comes up and has any promise at all, the first thing that happens is he's traded for assets into the future. You can go all the way back to Jason Giambi, Eric Chavez, Tim Hudson, player after player after player that has turned, that has been traded away. And so as an A's fan, what's my incentive to go to the game? What's my incentive to support the team when, as soon as I've known this player since he was a pup, coming up through the minors, and now he's on my team and a rookie, and I've stood by him, and it's now that he's an all-star level player, what happens? He gets traded to the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, and suddenly, my team can't compete. At the beginning of every season, the reality is that there's maybe 6 teams, 7 teams that you can talk about as contenders, and the other 23 teams are already eliminated before the first game is played. And
What can we do to fix that?
I think you have to instill what football did, and instill a hard cap where you have a basement where teams have to spend X amount of money, which would eliminate the A's, who just, pay everybody cheap, and then as soon as they get any contract, it goes away. So you instill a basement and you instill a ceiling, and you make it a hard cap. You don't allow exemptions, and this is what has to happen, and it eliminates teams like the Dodgers from being, having, multiple huge contracts with large deferments to the backside that don't count against the luxury tax, that, in essence, skirt any type of keeping their level playing field. I just think there has to be something done like that. And if you're going to be an owner in a baseball, you need to look at that. The other piece of that is revenue sharing, right? In baseball, individual teams sell their individual media rights. Well, like here in Washington, I've talked about this before, in the Seattle market, you can't watch the Mariners play unless you subscribe to Mariner TV. So I have a subscription to MLB TV because I want to watch my Giants play. So I pony up the money happily to pay for my local team. I want to watch my team play. And but that doesn't even count. Like, I have the MLB package, but because I live in Washington, if I want to watch the Mariners play, I actually have to pay more, and to buy Mariner TV on top of the thing. So that needs to be gotten rid of. I mean, there has to be some level, like football, where they retain the rights. If you subscribe to YouTube TV and you subscribe to Sunday Ticket, you get to watch all the games, period. The only games that you can't watch are the ones that are on your local TV. So you still get to watch every game, period. With the exception of the Netflix thing, and then we can talk about that. But the problem being is baseball doesn't have revenue sharing, and football, for everyone who doesn't know, football shares all the revenue that the NFL makes. It's divided evenly by 32. The only monies that are my monies are my merchandise. So if I sell a Carolina Panther hat or a Raider hat or a Cowboy hat, I get to keep my money on the merch side. And then, of course, obviously attendance and concessions at my stadium. But the big money is from TV revenue, from the selling of the TV rights deal. When those are billion-dollar deals, and those are divided equally. So, teams get a fair, so the poorest team and the richest team get the same amount of money.
Right.
And I think baseball has to go to something similar because, listen, again, I'm not faulting the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing anything in their power to win with the system that's in place at this time.
And
But
you take advantage of the system.
Absolutely. But the problem is, what does that mean for every other team in the West? It means that they have no chance of winning. And that to me is disappointing. And I think it turns fans away from the sport at the end of the day. So baseball is ruining their own viewership by turning their own fans away by allowing this to happen. I mean, it's ridiculous when again, I have the MLB package, but I can't watch the in-market team, which here is the Mariners. I can't even watch them locally. And
I think social media and the way the news has changed to where people are they have more information now, because a lot of people did not know these things. You have to be a real diehard in the sport to really know it, because everybody else looked at it like, oh, it's just fair. And it's been going on even in boxing, football. It's traded on. It's like when we picked who's the greatest in boxing, and to me, and that it translates to every sport. If you're undefeated, you're the greatest, not the person because he's more popular and he gets the vote. Who does the best? And just because they let you move a certain way and it looks funky to people, it can look funky all at once. If the MLB is letting teams to do it, is boxing, the commission is letting boxers make turns, do U-turns, don't have to fight this person. If it's in the guidelines, it's all fair game. But
100%.
I agree with Patrick. It needs to be a thin red line to where it's fair across the board, all sports, so it doesn't look lopsided like we've been getting.
The Dodgers are never going to vote. The ownership of the Dodgers is never going to vote to limit their own ability to spend money to field their best
That's
team.
where common sense come in. It has to be through the whole MLB. Common sense has to prevail there. It has to be a common sense thing.
Right, rising tide lifts all boats, right? And my question is, how long is it going to be before a Kansas City, a Pittsburgh Pirates, an A's, before they go bankrupt? Because how they can't afford to pay and compete at the same level that the A's are moving to Vegas, and they're going to have an interesting stadium there. It looks pretty amazing from the renditions I've seen and the drawings, but it's also only going to hold 38,000 fans. So that's a pretty big reduction in holding in a baseball stadium, and that's off by about 10,000 seats. So we're already seeing shrinking, to lift blackouts, right? To get to sell more tickets
and to maximize on those tickets also.
Yeah, so they can charge more.
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting to see in Vegas how Vegas supports baseball. Being an everyday sport, especially if they're not winning, it's going to be very interesting to see how that team is supported there.
If that stadium is anything like the Raider Stadium, and I don't know if I've let you know, but I've been to a lot of stadiums, and my bucket list is to go to every stadium. So every year I choose different stadiums to go to because I want to have been to every stadium in the league.
Yep.
And there's nobody stadium that's been better than the Raider Stadium so far. The Raider Stadium is immaculate.
To any fan out there, I highly recommend you pay the money and take the tour of the stadium if you go to Vegas, even if the Raiders aren't playing. The stadium tour is, even if you're not a Raider fan, it's an amazing time. You get to go all through different parts of the stadium, including the owner's box, the locker room. I highly recommend it. To what Wayne's saying, it is an amazing stadium. It is beautiful. It is clean. It is immaculate. They have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of sports art on the club level circuit. So yes, if you're in Vegas, and looking for something to do during the day, I highly recommend. It takes about 2 hours to do the tour. I think it costs like $25-$30, I think. I don't
Right.
know. Did you do the tour, Wayne, or did you just go to a game there?
I just went to a game.
Yeah. The
But
tour is
when I
awesome.
go to games, I normally sit behind the bench.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm basically in the clubhouse, and awesome.
Amazing.
So I'm expecting
Amazing.
the A Stadium to be state of the art as well. With that heat, it has to be. It has to be.
It has an interesting, like, it's going to has like a roof that's clear. So I'm kind of curious to see how it all is, but yeah, all the fans out there, if you're a football fan, go to the Raiders Stadium. Definitely worth your time, even if you just go to take the tour. I've been to a concert there as well, and we sat on the floor. Amazing. The staff there is amazing. The people there.
Yes.
It's Vegas. The ushers there were incredibly kind and knowledgeable. I just have nothing but great things to say about the Raiders Stadium.
And if you're a Raiders fan and you haven't been to your stadium, you're missing out, because the fan experience that they have outside of the stadium is just as awesome as what goes on inside the stadium. I'm jealous when it comes to going to their stadium. I'm like, I can't wait till they remake Carolina Stadium. Oh,
well, last time when I was in Carolina at the game, they had a lot of good stuff going on outside too. So they're coming around. You got to go down to the backside where the restaurants are, and that's where the Roaring Riot Party is, and it costs $18. And but they have all kinds of crazy food and live music, and it's pretty happening down there. So
I just want them to give us some cool vibes inside the Carolina Stadium, because my goodness, bring a towel if you come to our stadium.
It's hot.
It's
hot and humid, baby. But yeah, so that was the big trade. Scooble to the Dodgers. The Giants, my beloved Giants, they traded 6 players, as I mentioned in the open. Most of those guys on expiring contracts. Robbie Ray to the Padres, Luis Ariz to the Phillies, Elio Ramos to the Yankees, Eric Miller to the Red Sox.
Which player are you going to miss the most?
I'm going to miss Elio Ramos. He's a homegrown prospect. He came up through. We drafted him when he was a teenager. So he's kind of come up through the organization. I got the chance to see him play at different levels, and I actually was there for his major league debut in San Francisco. So, I think he's a corner outfielder, hits for power, 20 to 25 home runs a year type of player. And I just think it's kind of sad to see him go. I understand why the trade was made. Right. I understand the prospects that we got in return are promising, but I liked him. I thought he was a quality player and a homegrown player. And I have as you are well aware with my Warrior love, I have a soft spot in my heart for homegrown players players that we brought up in our system that have been there since the beginning. Those are guys that I have a little soft spot in my heart for.
Totally understandable, but that was your favorite. Are you the other guys? Were they expendable, or are they going to be missed?
I mean, they're good players. I think at the end of the day, on expiring contracts in baseball, if you're out of it, and you have like a Robbie Ray, a quality starting pitcher, or a Luis Ariz, a second baseman who's hitting over 320 in the major leagues. A, they're going to cost a whole heck of a lot of money in free agency, and B, you may as well get something for them, because you have a 1 in 30 chance of re-signing them, right, in free agency. Right. So I am going to miss them because I think they're good players, but when you're 15 games under 500 and your season's over, make the trade. I get something in return. The hardest part about baseball is when you make a trade is that when you trade for prospects, you don't know if that trade was any good for 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Yeah. And that's the hardest part, because it's not immediate. In football, when I trade a running back for a linebacker, I know next week if that guy's going to do anything for my team or going to be a fit. In basketball, I know immediately he's going to fit in, he's going to score points or whatever. But when I make a trade in baseball, I don't know for years whether or not that trade
And
was any
that's the
good.
thing with baseball. What makes it brings fans out of it also is once a trade is made, you're like, well, we're not going to
Yeah.
see anything for 2 or 3 years if we're lucky. In football, that any given Sunday,
Yep.
you still have hope
Well,
that your team can gel together and come out and be awesome.
well, in football, if you miss a game, you miss 1/17th of their season. In baseball, if you miss a game, you miss 101 out of 162. So, there's a big difference there. And also, if your team is out of it, like my team, and they sold a bunch of people today, and they were sellers and they got prospects and whatnot. What does it say about the rest of the season? Because 6 people off the major league roster were removed today. So and everybody that we got back in return are minor leaguers for the
Right.
future. So who are we going to put on the field for the next 50 games? A bunch of people I've never heard of. So is that really inspiring me to watch? Probably not. Like the
And that's
product
the
goes
thing
down.
that gets me. Why I watch baseball the way I watch it is that I never understood that in the middle of the season thing,
Yeah,
Like,
it's hard. It's just different. It's a different game, and I enjoy baseball, but I can't live it and breathe it the way I can do football and to some extent basketball. It's just because there's so many games. It's hard, and also, like the minor leagues and all those things. It's just a lot. It almost becomes a full-time job to be a quality fan.
yeah.
The only other trade I want to mention is our co-host who's on sabbatical right now, but his team traded 3-time All-Star switch hitting power catcher to the Red Sox, which I was a little surprised to see because he's usually the cornerstone of your team, a
Mhm.
power hitting catcher and an All-Star, and to trade him for prospects to the Red Sox, I thought was a little surprising. So I was a little surprised by what Baltimore was doing there. I thought they had a lot of good young talent on that team. So to trade away an all-star catcher who's still young, 26 years old, I thought that was a little surprising. But it's baseball, so who knows what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and with any sport, I always try to point out to people, somebody owns that team. They make the decisions that they want to make when
Yep.
they want to make them. And
Yep.
imagine being a little kid growing up and now you own a team. You can do what you want to
Yeah.
do,
You know what? That guy
regardless
looked
of
at me
what
funny.
fans
Trade
think.
him. I don't care if he's an all-star. Trade that guy. I don't want him back. So, yeah, a little funny, but yeah. So that's baseball. Big trades today. There's a lot of other little moves. I'm not going to get into all the moves if you really,
Right.
if you're another team. But yeah, a lot of moves today. But we'll see how the pennant races shape up. But let's get to some football, Wayne. Let's talk some football, man.
Man, gotta have some NFL in there. Got to have some NFL in there. What's
Got
up
to.
big going on? The sleeper that's a sleeper every year, but not really a sleeper. The San Francisco 49ers. They gotten a guy back that, in my opinion, they should have never let go, but they weren't using him right. Do you think that puts them over the hurdle, or did they take a step back?
Well, first off, the Niners signed Debo back to the team. Debo Samuel's back in San Francisco.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a great signing for them. I think the Niners really knew how to use him in Kyle Shanahan's offensive system. That he got a lot of not just as a wide receiver, but some trick plays and whatnot. I think if they'll be smart to not put him back in the running back position and play him that way, I think that was a mistake. I think it added extra damage to his body that he didn't need. I don't think Debo Samuel is going to go have the season that he had 4 or 5 years ago, but I think he's going to have a quality season, and I think he's probably 750 yards approximately receiving, maybe 7 to 8 touchdowns, but he's going to be a quality player. Gives him a different dimension to look at, especially when Kittle comes back. And with Mike Evans and the rookie receiver that they drafted, who they're really high on. So I think, does it put the Niners over the top? That's a hard question for me because they have a really, really difficult division when you look at, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners. I mean, I think you can make an argument for any one of those three teams to be
Man,
the division champions. I still
exactly.
think it's the Rams, but any given Sunday, Stafford gets hurt, and everything changes, right? It could be something completely different. But so for me, does it put them over the top? I don't know, but it certainly makes them better. And anytime a team of that caliber gets better, that would be concerning for me if I was in that division.
Scary. Very
Yeah.
scary. The 49ers have always been uh, a good team. Even when on paper it doesn't look like they're that good, they seem to be standouts during the season.
Well,
And
I'll just go back to last year. I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, they had more injuries than anybody I've ever seen, and yet they still were
that's the
fighting
point.
and contending to the
That's
last
exactly what I'm pointing out.
minute. And it's like I can't think of any other team that could have that many people out and still be competitive. I mean, they were phenomenal, playing with people you never heard of
Perfect
before.
word, phenomenal.
Yeah, pulling people out of the stands and putting
With
them on the field.
people that nobody knew what they could do, they
Except for
still
them.
stood up and looked like a solid team.
Yeah,
Now
except
they
for
have
them.
a Mike Evans, Debo Samuels, Christian Kirk, and George Kittle will be back.
Yep.
I think they're dangerous. I
Yeah.
think they're really, really dangerous.
And don't forget the rookie receiver they drafted. A lot of people say he might be the best receiver in the draft that nobody was talking about. So I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, and it's kind of hard to pronounce. But apparently, according to a lot of people, they thought the Niners really got a steal in him, and he's really going to be something special. So,
Dijon,
I'm sorry, what's his name?
Dijon Stribbing.
Yes, he's got a Z in there, right?
Yeah.
Scribbing? Yes. So that a lot
Forgive
of
me
people
if
are
I'm
really,
mispronouncing his name, but yeah.
a lot of people are really, really high on him. Like the supposed professionals say that he's an NFL ready receiver.
Wow.
And in Kyle Shanahan's system, I mean, and he also kind of neglected to bring up, this guy named Christian McCaffrey they have on their team, and
The guy they stole from the Carolina Panthers for peanuts.
well, we can thank our old regime for that, and also they have they also drafted a running back out of Indiana, Black, who I think is going to be a great counterpart to Christian to take some carries off of him, and he's going to be a quality player. So I think the 49ers are going to be very difficult to contend with. I'm not sure the Seahawks are going to be as good as they were. And I can tell you, the Rams look great on paper. And another big news, if you want to talk NFL news, is it appears Aaron Donald is getting closer and closer to announcing his return to the NFL to play for the Rams.
Handwriting was on the wall with that already, though.
It was, but bringing in Myles Garrett, to put those two monsters next to each other, I mean, that defense was already good. Now they're scary. I mean, in my opinion, I think the Rams are going to be a really, really difficult team to deal with. And I already believe that they're the team to beat for the Super Bowl, but I think if you add Donald to that lineup, even if he plays just, handful of downs a game, I just think that makes him that much better.
Just being the third and fourth down specialist. That's all he needed to come in.
Yeah.
Give it his all on third and fourth. But I want to point out to people, without Aaron Donald, without Garrett, and who else? They were going to be fine.
Yes.
Without these additions.
Yes.
They would have been just fine without these additions. With these additions, they're super scary.
They are. And let's not forget, they traded for McDuffie at corner from Kansas City, and they signed Watson for corner. So suddenly their biggest problem was their corners. They improved their corner play dramatically, and now they've increased and improved their pass rush. And if they get Donald back, now their run defense is better. So they are scary, and I think like I said, I think they are already the team to beat. But now I think if Donald does return, which it appears he's going to, I think they're unstoppable.
it looks like it's going to be a tough season in the NFC with
For sure.
anybody who has to play the Rams. And Rams fans, you guys better go put your money on them. But I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm still sticking with the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl. I know it's out of left field. I came with it, but
Okay.
with the Rams being super scary, and the Rams are going to beat down a lot of teams if they stay healthy.
Yep.
They're going to run past teams like teams are not even moving. And
Listen,
with that being said, I just think with DJ Moore over there in Buffalo.
listen, here's what's most important. And this is, I'm going to say this over and over again. We can talk about how good you look on paper, but you got to actually show up and play the game.
So true.
That's the first part. You got to stay healthy, and that requires a lot of luck, right? That's the second part. And the third part is on any given Sunday, right? You know, I'm sure Vegas was very upset when the Panthers upset the Rams in the regular season last year.
Yes.
And I'm sure Vegas was sweating a bullet when the Panthers took them down inside the final 2 minutes last year in the playoffs. So
we still covered the spread. So anybody that they still took a hit.
However, I'm sure they're sweating bullets for the outright win.
Right.
And you know, so any given Sunday, guys, and matchups make fights, right? And you know, it appears that Evero, he has some type of secret sauce to contain the Rams. I won't say, shut them out, but he can contain them and hold the game close. So I'm excited for that. Another big signing in the NFL, although, you know, he's getting a little bit past his prime, but Jadeveon Clowney signed, and he signed to return to the Texans. And that's kind of a big deal because much like Debo, he goes back to his original team, the team that drafted him. And I think Jadeveon Clowney on that already incredibly stout Texan defense just gives them another rushing option off the edge, rushing depth. He's not a starter at this point in his career, but he can come in and give you some rushing opportunities and maybe even some type of NASCAR formation where they bring in multiple rushers. Great signing for them. That defense gets better with him on there, and that's a scary defense. I am concerned about their offense, but that defense is next level. I don't, that's
without him, that defense was next level. So
just
adding a piece of the puzzle to keep them on a level, even on every down. That's a defense last season that, wow.
How many other teams could have their quarterback throw 4 interceptions in a playoff game and still win?
Yeah, but how many other teams would lose all their wide receivers and their tight end
and still compete? Yeah.
A lot of people that called that game act like they forgot that huge piece. Every wide receiver was gone, and in that game he lost his tight end.
Yeah, sometimes how the media gets. They forget a lot. Those important pieces of the puzzle. For me, I think, defense wins championships. Defense plays great outdoors, but I will continue to say this until my last breath. And that is that in most cases, historically, dome teams do not win the Super Bowl because they can't win the playoffs. So the Texans, the Colts, those teams are already at a disadvantage, in my opinion, because they play in a dome and they're not used to playing in the elements. That's why when you look at a Mahomes in bad weather, he's used to it, played in the freezing cold in Kansas City and somehow finds a way to win. But all in all, there'll be more signings. There's still good free agents out there as camp continues. And unfortunately, as injuries continue to stack up for different teams, you will see some of these veterans land on a team. And, Stephon Diggs is still out there. I would imagine he probably ends up on a team in another week or so as, teams get a look at their depth at wide receiver and they don't like what they're seeing or they want to improve or, someone isn't bouncing back from injury as fast as they'd like. So
I
stay
thought the
tuned.
49ers would have capitalized on some of those wide receivers that were out there, but
I don't. I'm not sure the 49ers are a great fit for some of those guys just based on some of the locker room stuff. And so for me personally, if I have a couple of young guys on my squad, receivers, I think bringing in a guy like Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, two, guys that I believe they were teammates at Texas A&M actually. But anyways, two guys that, have very high character guys, have helped develop other players. And then you bring a Debo back to help develop. I just don't know if that's the right fit. Like, our team, I read an article one time saying that Carolina might be interested in bringing in Stephon Diggs. And I'm like, I don't see that at all with our young receiving core. I don't see we would bring in someone like that. I think we would bring in someone more like a Adam Thielen, who we had, who helped develop.
I didn't want to leave.
Yeah,
he was a safety blanket for Bryce while he was there. I didn't,
although that
just like Clowney, just extra depth. When you don't have to pay that much money for people, and Clowney, we were basically getting a deal.
But when we traded Thielen, that was because that's what he wanted. He wanted to be traded back to Minnesota. He wanted to be on a contender. He wanted to have an opportunity to win a ring, and he wanted to end his career. And I'm guessing, the losing in Carolina was a little hard for him at the twilight of his career. I'm not mad at that trade. I think that was actually a very nice gesture for the Panthers to make to him as a good veteran player. Hey, look, do you want us to trade you back to Minnesota? Because we didn't exactly get anything from the trade. I mean, I think we got a 7th round pick, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that was a more of a gesture move than
to say, because we actually didn't get that much for Christian McCaffrey.
And that's a whole nother story.
We are bad at that. We just now got some
bad.
type of something, but my goodness, the best thing we've ever done was Greg Olsen, in my opinion.
Well,
when it comes to trading.
Trades in the NFL are hard, though. I mean, go back and look at how many trades. Before you answer, go back and look how many trades in the NFL for players. I'm not talking draft picks, but for players actually work out where that player suddenly becomes amazing. It doesn't happen as much as you think. Like there's very few times when you trade for a player that your team suddenly becomes great, or that player suddenly becomes amazing and the missing piece. It doesn't happen very often. And that's also something about free agency in the NFL. That also doesn't happen, especially at skill positions, right? Now, linemen are a little bit different. Defensive line, offensive line, obviously a younger quarterback who's a backup. Those positions are a little bit different. But if I go and sign the best wide receiver in the NFL, that doesn't automatically make my team amazing or that he's suddenly going to be great because maybe he was great in that system. So it's not quite as easy to just come in. Like basketball is different. If you're a 25-point guy in basketball, if I trade you, you're still a 25-point guy. But in football it's a little bit different. And I'll just throw out AJ Brown. Everyone thought the Eagles got one over when they got AJ Brown, but statistically, AJ Brown never really delivered on all the hype, right? I mean, they paid him a crap ton of money,
right?
And it didn't work out for whatever reason. You can plug in whatever reason you want, but it just didn't work the way you would think it would. It should have worked, and because of the name. And now he got traded again to another team, and let's see what happens in New England. But those trades, those
my
moves,
feeling though, when it comes to the and what point I'm trying to make with Carolina, like Christian McCaffrey was extra extraordinary, and we gave him away for crumbs.
Yeah, we did.
Crumbs.
Yeah.
When
Cam traded him, by the way, to the system that was tailor made for him.
Exactly.
So it only looks worse, and I think we could have got more. I think we could have got more.
I understand us getting rid of players. I understand the way the beast works.
We didn't trade Cam, just for the record.
But we put it out there we were going to let him go when we could have got some capital for him. But
Maybe.
you already played your hand and said we were letting him go. That type of stuff. Christian McCaffrey, Cam Newton, just bad. It just didn't sit well with me. Like,
oh, for sure, it doesn't sit. I mean, not bringing back Steve Smith. I mean, that doesn't sit well with me either. But I will tell you, I don't believe. I mean, jury's still out. I don't believe that happens now with Brant Tillis and Dan Morgan. I think we have
totally different regime, and they have been making the right decisions.
And if you look at their trades and look at their trade downs and look at their draft over the last couple of years, I mean, listen. I mean, we have a lot of ground to make up, but I don't think you can really look at those two guys and say we could do any better. I mean, realistically, they have made a lot of good deals. They've traded down, got draft capital. We've made a lot of good moves. We've added solid players to our team. I think a lot. If you read some of the responses to when we drafted Tet, T-Mac, he's this, he's not that. He doesn't read his playbook. All the BS. And he only turns out to be the offensive rookie of the year and a great player. And then you look at how much contribution up and down the draft class from last year contributed on the field, right? That's what matters. On the field last year, it was amazing. I mean, their rookies played more snaps than any other team in the NFL, which means we drafted well and we signed. And let's not forget Jalen Coker, undrafted free agent. So we're on the upswing. But
yeah, we are.
I don't think we ever make a move like that again. At least with these two guys, I just don't see it.
We're finally going to make sense when we make moves. That's what it looks like now. But
I agree.
Before, it was just it looked like somebody got paid. It looked like somebody owed someone a favor. It just didn't look right.
Well, it looked like we were dumping salary. If you really want to know,
there it is. Interesting thing. McCarthy wants Aaron Rodgers, 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, to play in the preseason games. I wonder how well that's going to go over.
Wow. God, that might be a topic for another night, but because we're coming up to the end of it here, but do you play your starters in the preseason and specifically your quarterback? And I don't know that 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers needs a single snap in the preseason, in my opinion. But
the way he's been playing and the way he doesn't know his team, and he's going out, I would say if you want to put your best foot forward, you need to go out there and get some type of.
But that's what the scrimmages are for, right? At least you can have the scrimmage where it's full contact, except for the quarterback, right? Where he doesn't get lit up and blasted, and some, undrafted free agent that's trying to make a team doesn't light him up in the preseason. So. That to me is risky on someone who's that fragile, like for Gile. But
they called him fragile.
I did call him fragile. He looked fragile like last year, So hey, our Panthers, they're doing it right. They're starting Kenny Pickett, and from what I read, he's going to get a series or two, and then Haynes King is going to play the rest of the game. So I think that's the right way to go. I'd keep the starters and the guys that you think are already going to make the team off the field in the extra preseason game. I agree with giving your guys a series or two. Hopefully you can sit down with the other coach and you can have a little collusion before the game about, hey, we're gonna keep our stars in for the first couple series. You keep your stars in for the first couple series. We'll go a little easy on you. You go a little easy on us, and let's just get some timing in, and let's not blast each other in the preseason.
I'm anxious to see what Kenny Pickett has left in the arm. It should be a whole lot because he's still young.
He's young.
And Kenny Pickett is the person that I wanted us to get before the Steelers got him. Yeah. And he just hasn't developed. He doesn't even look like he's been trying. It's been weird.
But do you think he got a fair shake in Pittsburgh? I don't think he got a fair shake in Pittsburgh.
No, I don't think he's gotten a fair shake at all. Period.
I mean, he goes there. He's in Pittsburgh. He's the starter. And I thought he had some decent successes for a rookie. And then I think he got banged up. And then they fired the coach, got rid of the offensive coordinator. Then they trade him to Philly to be the backup. And I'm just like, what? I mean, I didn't think he was terrible. I thought he played decent for the Raiders last year when he got on the field. So, and that's a terrible team, by the way, last year. And he I thought he played okay. I think he'll be okay. I
It
think he's
would be
going to
nice to have a diamond in the rough.
I think he'd be a solid backup. I mean, I don't think he's going to be awful. And I listen. I'm probably in the minority here, but I have high hopes for Haynes King as an undrafted rookie. I really
Ah.
liked that guy in college. I thought he was a phenomenal player. I was shocked that more people weren't talking about him. I was shocked that he went undrafted, to be honest. I think he's better than a lot of quarterbacks that got drafted. So I'm curious to see what he looks like.
Wow. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. And no, we haven't forgot about the main topic that we want to hit on, which is our NFL games, our baseball games, our just sports period. Are they rigged? But, getting these topics and getting the timing with people who think that way, it's been a little rough. It's been a little rough. Just like listening to people and their exactly how they think of that it is rigged and their frame of mind. It's been a little rough, but I'm willing to put it out there. I'm willing to hear him out. But you guys have to let us know. You got to come on the show. You got to come on the show. You got to, if you want people to really see where you're coming from, put your story out there. Let us know, why do you think that these games are rigged? And that's it there. Next Monday, we will have that topic back, and we will have a guest that's coming on, and he's going to let us know how he feels. But until then, we'll see y'all. Please like, subscribe, and share. And Wednesday, we got more for you guys. See you then. Peace out.